patch 5.3 arrives tomorrow, here's a bunch of its changes. First up, Ogre Kingdoms have had a few adjustments. Contracts, which as you can see here, this is how they work currently. Every 10 turns, 3 get presented, you get to accept and choose to do one of them. But now, firstly, contracts have been renamed to bounties, and it works slightly differently, as these 3 bounties are just there to do when you want to, if you want to. You don't have to accept one, you just do them if you please, in a certain amount of time before it expires. So let's say we want to do this one, issued by the Bloody Hands, we'll get money, relations, and some meat. And all we need to do is bonk some Barrack Varians on the head within the next 5 turns. So we could go ahead, get that done, make a little money and some relations, and we can move on to another one, or wait for a new one to pop up. Or you can just play it a little more opportunistic. If you happen to be going in the direction of one of these, you can just get it done on the way and make a little side cash. An improvement to the system anyway. And another change to Ogres, sort of, but for every other faction, is Ogre Mercenaries. Well, now you can recruit a few more different types of Ogre unit, and you can recruit 3 of them instead of just 1. New units include the Ogre Pistols, Mournfang Cav, and Ogre Giant. The units available will depend on the level of the Ogre camp. Obviously, the higher it is, the better units you're gonna get. So this adds a nice bit of extra value and power to the Ogre Mercenaries mechanic. This one is pretty huge. It's a new unit for the Vampire Counts roster that they've been needing for, about 8 years. It is, of course, Graveguard Halberds, which are pretty much your typical halberd unit in the Graveguard form. They are undead, of course, so they won't run away. They have that good armor, and as an anti-large unit, they have armor piercing, bonus versus large, charge reflection, and a charge defense, which makes them overall an absolutely huge addition to the Vampire Counts roster, because in all this time, Vampire Counts have always struggled at dealing with large enemies, especially things like single entities, namely due to their lack of missiles, because those are always a reliable way to take down any kind of large. And heavily armored large, especially cavalry, has always been a problem for them as well, because while Blood Knights are great, they are not armor piercing, and so they don't really do that great taking on heavy things like the Skull Crushers here, or at taking on single entities, because they can't really surround it enough and get enough attacks in to justify all the massive damage they take from single entities. And now you might be screaming, Zerk, what about the Terrorgeist? Yeah, what about the fucking Terrorgeist? Look at it. He can't even goddamn land his little twinkly toes. What's he doing? The Terrorgeist has always been kind of okay, but never really great at taking down anything large. So yeah, just a lack of good, reliable, solid anti-large units has been the Vampire's problem, but no longer. Now they've just got that simple, reliable anti-large unit that they can just plonk around in places in their army to go and chase off these large units or just to take them out. So yeah, a pretty huge gain for the Vampire Counts roster, a brilliant addition. Brilliant, like the sponsor of today's video. This is a platform all about learning stuff by actually doing it. In all of your favorite nerdy subjects, maths, science, computer science, data analysis. And you can start from the ground up or wherever you feel comfortable. Maybe you didn't pay attention at school because you were too busy daydreaming about playing Total War, and now you want to catch up on what you missed. Or maybe you're looking to expand your knowledge for work or a new job opportunity. Well, Brilliant can help you do that with clear and concise lessons that will explain everything you need to know to get at least a solid foundation in the subjects. Everything about it is very clean and well presented, helping you focus on the task at hand. So instead of doom scrolling your life away through Reddit or Discord or Instagram, why not do something useful for your brain box mind machine and get in some intelligent learning? If you want to check it out, you can use this URL, which will be linked in the description, or this QR code to get to the app on your phone. It is a subscription-based service. You will get a discount on that subscription if you use my link, though. There is a free version you can mess around with, or a 30-day trial of the premium version, which will give you full access so you can mess around with it before you spend any money. Thanks again to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. Next, there's been some changes to auxiliaries and magic items. Now honestly, there isn't a great deal to talk about or show you here, but the gist of it is that they've gone over auxiliaries and magical items to rebalance them, make them better, make them more useful, make it so that they more fit their rarity category, whether they're uncommon, common, rare, or unique. And there are going to be some new extra randomly dropped unique auxiliaries at the end of battles. These could be extra rare and come with some pretty crazy effects, such as this one, which was posted in the blog, Mard's Map. This will give you an extra 50% campaign movement range. Pretty huge, right? But Uncharted passes, there's a 20% chance to appear in a random nearby region upon ending the turn. So a little trade-off there. You can get that extra movement range, but you might end up in God knows where. This is one of a bunch of new unique auxiliaries added to the game, as well as a bunch of new generic ones as well. So a bunch of new toys that you might come across. Once again, another blow has been struck to the tree acne maps that plagued the game since Warhammer 3's release. Ones like this one, where you had random spots of trees just all over the place, some of them right in the middle of your battlefield, which honestly just straight up ruined some maps. So this is the old version of this map. This is the new version of this map. Now trees looking much more natural, no more spottiness all over the place, and thanks Sigmar, no more tree spot right in the middle of the map anymore. So a really nice improvement for this map. And just another one, this is the flats of Kislev. As you can see, tree acne as far as the eye can see. This one was pretty bad, but thankfully it's been fixed up a bit. Still tree spots around, but they look much more natural now, and they kind of make sense in the way of the battlefield. There is some kind of in the middle of the map, but they're there to be used by your army before you go out into that open field. You can use them strategically on both sides. A bit of water there as well to make it a little more tactical. So another bunch of maps, maybe like 20, 30 maps have been sorted out, have been fixed up from all their tree acne, and they look much better now. There are still some though. They haven't got them all yet, but they're working their way through them a bit at a time as we move through the patches. So hopefully in a patch or two's time, there will be no more tree acne. That's the tree. Some changes to a bunch of units, starting off with the Skull Cannon for Khorne. This has a pretty cool new change, as now its projectile leaves a nice little fiery AoE on the floor, great for burning elves, which is one of my favourite pastimes. Perfect! So the Hell Cannon just got a little more spicy with this, capable of a little more damage output, especially if you can fire it into a nice little crowd. And it should also be a bit better in melee now, as its attack animations have been sharpened up to just be a little better and more damaging. So it should all round be capable of a bit more damage output, and the same for the Blood Shrine as well. That's had its attack animations fixed up a bit, so these units should be a little more effective for Khorne. And then there's a little more love in this patch for the vampire counts, as their ghosty units get a little extra leadership, gone up to 50. It was 40 before. So Cairn Wraiths and Hex Wraiths should survive a little better now. Their low leadership makes them die off a little bit too easy if you're not careful, but now that shouldn't be so bad. The Black Coach has also had some changes to the way its abilities work. Previously, you had to kill a set number of enemies before its abilities would make it stronger. But now, effect intensity increases with each nearby enemy kill, so he just has to be nearby enemies getting killed and not actually killing them himself. So in theory, you could just leave him by the front line while things die, don't put him in combat, and then when he's fully juiced up, you can send him out there with full health and he'll go to work for you. Should make the Black Coach that a little bit more dangerous. And then some love for the Wood Elves. Blech! Ridiculous. Why waste the time? Either way, Wildwood Ranger's ability, Guardians of the Wildwood, has been changed, so it now does this, which is basically just a big damage boost whenever a terror-causing unit is nearby. Previously, it just made them anti-large whenever they were fighting in the forest, which was kinda useless, because who the hell wants to fight in the forest? So definitely an improvement to that ability. And lastly, chariots of all kinds and all factions have had a bit of a buff, some of them anyway. They've been put into more consistent categories, namely in terms of their mass. So basically, some of the lighter chariots have been buffed up a bit, so they should be a little more chariot-y and heavy, able to pull through units rather than getting stuck. So some of the more lower-end chariots should be a little bit better now. But there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Hey, you want to know some secrets of the dragons? Have a look. Otherwise, I'll see you in the future.